I'm celebrating my 5-year Abe-versary, that's what I'm calling it. In 5 years of hearing what you say and applying it in my life, I've never worked full-time again since my first workshop with you. I am in the least amount of debt that I've ever been in, and the only debt that I have is one fabulous money-making property, and all the other properties have been paid for. And I'm so thankful. I'm just so thankful that you're doing what you're doing, and I'm so thankful that I care about what my life is like enough to listen to what you're saying. And I've done it right, I've done it wrong, I've done it all. And thank you.
Well, we like that you're doing it in a way that feels good, because that's ultimately the way that is working, isn't it? People talk about success, and we know you're having a lot of it. And we always like to say that the joy factor is the success factor, because everything else will follow. Once you get that in place, then all the other things have to follow that. Yeah, really good.
They do. So what I'm wanting to do, I guess, is I can move up the scale very quickly. And I've listened to what you've said, I've practiced that, I can go up really quickly, and of course that's enjoyable. I'm less satisfied with how quickly I can move down the scale, and I really appreciate the last hot seater for a million reasons, but he touched upon that idea that sometimes you're not as aware and you dip into something that you're not wanting to feel.
But isn't it a good thing if you're not aware that it gets big enough that you become aware of it? What's the big deal in that? Step 1 is ask, you know about that, blah, blah, blah. Step 2 is answer, you know about that. Your inner being holds your vortex, blah, 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 you know about that. Step 3 is you got to get in the receiving mode. We've talked about that all day. Step 4 is you become a master at being in the receiving mode. Funny that step 4 is just a really good step 3, but that's what it is. You're more consistently in step 3, and then step 5 is you're not mad at yourself when you're back in step 1 again. Do you think you're harder on yourself or harder on others?
I'm harder on myself. I sometimes don't know others exist.
You're hard on yourself because you have desires?
You know the TV show Shameless? It's my favorite. It's like 10 years of therapy and a couple of seasons. I love watching that show because I try to watch through the eyes of my inner being, and I can love all the characters. I can love the alcoholism, I can love the abuse, I can see why people do the things they do. And I feel like it helped me get to a better place of doing that more with myself, of seeing myself and saying, you know, listen, came in, like you say, hitting the ground running. I did great. Sometimes I feel like I'm really doing all right with it, and then other times I do really judge behaviors and choices as dysfunctional.
Let's talk about why that might be. There's still something unresolved in your understanding of how this all works, and you are representative of so many others, so we're really happy to have this conversation. We talk endlessly about you being the creator of your own reality, and what that translates to almost every one of you is that there is a manifestation that you are in the process of creating. We would like you to right now look at this whole subject of creating your own reality differently. We would like you instead to look at the happily ever after trail, which will result in some manifestations. The reality that you're creating is the happily ever after, always unfolding trail that will result in some manifestations. The creating your own reality is not there are manifestations that you're going to figure out how to get to. The creating your own reality is you're going to live happily ever after, and there's going to be some manifestations too. Because the reality that you're creating is this holding yourself in this place where you're in the receiving mode, where you are utilizing the ingredients, the immediate ingredients in your immediate surroundings for the satisfying fulfillment of your life experience right here and now. It's sort of like getting on an airplane to go to some fabulous destination, but you've got a 14-hour flight. You have a 14-hour flight on your way to this fabulous destination, but your life for the next 14 hours is going to be on the way to this destination. That's your life. And you only have the ingredients that are on that airplane with you in order to create right now. That's all you're going to mold into place. So you want to find things to focus upon that feel good while you're focusing upon. You want to find pleasure in the food, even though, let's face it, it's weird food. No matter how much you paid for the ticket, the food on the airplane is weird. So you've got some adjusting to do before you're really going to appreciate that. There's all kinds of adjustments, self-adjustments that you have to make. you have to confine yourself to a relatively small space, which you are sharing with a lot of other people. And sometimes you have to play some mind games with yourself to make you comfortable. Esther was in a first-class seat on the way to some fabulous place just a little while ago, and when she pushed her seat button, she thought she was going into a CAT scan. Now, there were people in the back of the plane that would have loved to have had that seat that was going to lay all the way down. Esther just was not prepared that more than half of her body was going to disappear into some hole. She didn't expect that to happen. She had to adjust to that. We're just saying, no matter how good or not good you are, you have only the ingredients that have surrounded you that law of attraction is going to use as the stuff that's going to respond to the vibration that you've got going. Now, this is the subject of turning thoughts to things, isn't it? Because in any point in time, you're standing in an environment. Here you are in this room. This is the ingredients that you've got here. And of course, you could get up and leave the room. There are all kinds of options, but we're just saying this environment is the ingredients from which your point of attraction is going to make the life experience that you are living either joyfully or not joyfully. So when you acknowledge that I am where I am, I am where I am, that's profound. Write that down. I am where I am. I am where I am. And in this manifested place where I am, where I'm seeing and hearing and smelling and tasting and touching, in the midst of all of that reaction to life experience, I am emanating a vibration that's going to bring back from these immediate ingredients, immediate results. From these immediate ingredients, I'm going to get immediate results. Now, I can fantasize about tomorrow, and I can ignore everything that's happening here and go deep into my own mind. But really, as thoughts are turning to things, my thoughts are turning to things, and they're using the ingredients that are surrounding me, don't you think? Don't you think that's what's happening? And so, what's the best utilization of these ingredients? Well, the best utilization of these ingredients has to do with the momentum. In other words, what's your expectation? Do you expect to live happily ever after? Do you expect these flight attendants to be wonderful? Do you expect your pilot to be skilled? Do you expect the temperature of the cabin to be comfortable? Do you expect to thrive during this environment? In other words, what are you evoking from these ingredients? And you can't just start now. You've started long before now, because your propensity to offer a vibration to which the law of attraction is going to respond was underway long before you got into this moment. That's what you said. Sometimes it happens so fast, I don't have time to react. Well, it's too late now. It's too late now. You're in your now, and all you've got is response to your ingredients. Are you following us a little bit? But what if in moment, you're basking, you're deliberately looking for positive aspects. You're feeling good about who you are. You're taking care of yourself. You're breathing deeply. What if you have for a while cared about how you feel, so much so that you haven't been trying to solve problems. You've been basking about things. You haven't been criticizing people and demanding results. You've been appreciating them and enjoying who they are. What if you've tuned yourself to that high frequency of your inner being, and now you and your inner being are surrounded by ingredients that are going to prove so delightful to you? Because these things are always true. You always have your inner being and your inner being's influence with you. You always have some sort of relationship with your inner being. It might be sketchy or it might be solid. It might be allowing or it might be resistant. In other words, this is always true in every moment. And you have the ingredients of your environment that are going to respond to whatever you've got going on. So if you're flying off the handle all the time, if you're feeling a lot of strong emotion and it feels to you like you can't control it, it's because you were not tending to your vibration in less tense times. That's all it means. It's all right that it means this, but this is what it means. This is the answer to your important question. It means that too late you're trying to apply vibrational skills after Esther's already shoved you down the slide.
That makes sense. I get that. And it's helpful.